What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Engl Savage Mark II 120. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar gear, those are the words I was looking for. I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that are too tired to think of something dumb to say right now, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so welcome back to another installment of Engl Month here at Belligerent Amateur Studios. Today on the block, we have Engl's what seems to be their new flagship amplifier, which is the Savage 120 Mark II. And funny enough, I've had the Savage 120 Mark II for probably about a year and a half, and I've only played through it maybe 2 or 3 times. And it's not because I don't like it. I do. Every time I plug into it, I'm reminded it's a really cool, unique, modern, brutal amplifier that just sounds incredible. But with this amplifier, it requires a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, and a little bit more knowledge to really get the tone that you're looking for out of it, because there is a lot of different switching. There are multiple different channels. So with all that being said, I want you to keep this in mind. Treat this video as more of a playthrough, me just playing through this amp, hanging out with you guys, because I'm not really familiar enough with it to consider this a review. I don't feel like I'm qualified to review this amplifier because there are probably features in here that I'm not gonna touch on. So keep that in mind. I may not dial this amp in the way that you like it or the way that you think it should be dialed in, but that's just because I'm literally exploring the amp here with you guys on camera, as weird as that sounds. But yeah, there's a ton of different sounds and settings to go over with this amp, so I'm not gonna talk too much. We're gonna jump into it. For that intro clip, I was playing my Gallagher Typhon Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. I was boosting it with the Licklarm Audio King in yellow, an awesome overdrive. We're gonna turn that off. We are going into my Mesa 412 traditional cab with the 99 stock vintage 30s, SM57 on that V30. And even though it is Engl Month here on the channel and I'm reviewing all sorts of different awesome Engl gear, we're still using this cabinet for the single amplifier playthroughs for science. But we'll be using my Engl cabs a little bit for a couple of the different comparison videos. So keep your pants on or take them off, whatever you want to do, I don't care. All right, so we started off on the Crunch 2 channel. I want to go over to the Crunch 1 channel though. I really want to explore everything that this amp has to offer as far as gain tone. So we've had the noise gate engaged. Engl's noise gate, the one that they build into most of their newer amps, is flawless. It's seriously an incredible gate. It is post preamp, so therefore you are able to eliminate all of that preamp hiss that comes with a lot of high gain amplifiers. So even though it's on and it's loud right now, it is completely silent. Love that about these newer Engls. We're gonna leave that on. I had the depth boost in, and we were on Crunch 2, but we're going to Crunch 1. I'm actually gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put all of these EQ controls at noon. We're gonna dial that Crunch 1 gain down to 9 o'clock, and we're gonna basically turn all of these switches off, and we're gonna try to dial in a good tone. And I realized that I should probably be talking to you guys instead of staring at the amp while I'm speaking. It's amazing that anyone watches these videos. So here we go, Crunch channel. And now we have some breakup. We've definitely gotten into that classic rock territory. Not an amplifier that I would really associate with those types of tones, but Crunch 1 honestly does it just fine. Let's click in that gain low-high switch. Turn it off again just for comparison. Let's click that input switch. All right, so I think the input switch actually does have an effect. It seems to be boosting the front end a little bit because we've got a little bit more saturation. Yeah, so we've got quite a bit of saturation going on at the moment. Let's go ahead though, let's boost this channel. I don't want to spend too much time on the dad rock riffs. Let's see if we can get this thing into high gain territory with a solid boost. Let's click on a standard tube screamer just to see if that gives enough juice. I gotta be honest, that's actually surprisingly high gain. Like that sounds good with that tube screamer out in front. It is a little bit thin on the low end though. Let's click in that depth boost. I actually really like that. That actually sounds really, really good. Surprisingly good. How did I not try this channel before? That sounds great with the TS9. Let's hit it with something that has a little bit more juice though. Let's try that lick lamb again because this pedal has an extreme amount of output. That has a good amount of saturation. I will say it is lacking a little bit of low end though. I would like it to be a little bit thicker in the lows. Let's push that bass up just a bit. All right, Crunch officially rules for the high gain stuff. All right, guys, here's my LTD Phoenix Black Metal with the Fluff Signature Fishman Fluence pickup. So let's go ahead, let's kick in something like the Electric Eye Audio Mud Killer. This should work just fine. Let's turn the low-high input off. All right, so that has definitely reduced the input signal on the amp. So let's go ahead, let's kick in that higher boost from the lick lamb again, see how it handles it. I don't know what the hell I was trying to play there, but you guys see what I'm saying. So if you're using an active pickup or you're using a very hot overdrive, you're gonna wanna hit that switch or else you're gonna overload the front end. Last but not least, let's play an actual low output pickup on the Crunch channel and get like a Crunch sound. Let's click on the mid switch between the lean and I believe this will activate the bold. I like the bold much better on this current setting. The mids are rounder and it just, I don't know, man, it sounds fuller like that. Let's click the pre-shape. I've never punched that before. All right, it's back to being quacky. Don't like that. That's gonna be it for the Crunch channel. We gotta move on to Crunch 2 because we're already getting deep in this video. Back to the Balaguer. All right, guys, we're at Crunch 2 now. Everything is at noon. I have left the presence pretty much dialed up, and we're gonna leave the depth boost on as well. I really think this amp needs it. It doesn't really inherently have a ton of low end, at least not in my experience. Everything else is as you see it on the amp here though. So let's see what we got going on Crunch 2. Definitely by no means a high gain tone. That is very thin, very quacky. Let's go ahead and immediately hit that gain switch. Let's click that input. So what I have noticed on this channel is the treble. Not a big fan of having that over 11 o'clock. It definitely just seems to have this weird, harsh, quacky frequency. You gotta keep it dialed down. But we already need more gain. We're just not getting a lot of saturation. Let's put it up to 3 o'clock. All right, let's go ahead and dime it out. All right, so I really personally think this needs more bass and just a tad more presence from the power amp. Mids are still on the quacky side in my personal opinion. Let's go ahead, let's hit it with the boost because this just does not have saturation without a boost in front. All right, so it definitely is more saturated now. Sounds good. Let's turn off that input though, and let's hit it with a really high output overdrive like the Engl. Hitting the input switch and the Engl drive in front of Crunch 2, definitely giving us some good saturation. Let's pull the middle back just a tad. Let's bump that bass up a little bit. The Contour seems to give us more mids, a little bit more of a low mid focus as well. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm hearing. All right, so overall that sounds pretty good. Let's turn off the Contour. Let's hit this rough smooth switch because I never really messed with this. All right, so I have said this in the past before about this amp. When I click this in, it just makes it sound like it's all mids. It is not at all my favorite. Let's click it out again. And actually, I have to look up the tone balance control on this because the last time I played this amp, I actually didn't know what it did. So I need a little bit of a refresher because I'm not really hearing it do anything on this channel. Yeah, overall, what I'm seeing is it affects the tone on channels 3 and 4, but not by a lot. Let's leave it in the middle. All right, so this channel sounds really cool. Maybe a tad hollow in the mids the way that we have it. Let's turn that Contour on again. Lots of mid bark there. Let's talk about that treble knob though. So I have it right here at 11 o'clock. If I bump that up to noon, it gets really quacky and harsh in a hurry. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of usable range on the treble. You have to kind of keep it dialed back a little bit and really rely on the overall presence on the power amp in order to do the heavy lifting when it comes to shaping the top end of the amplifier. So yeah, there's that. Let's go ahead. We're not gonna bother with the low output pickups on these two channels. We're gonna go straight into the active pickups. Let's try the SD1 on this channel. Let's see how it reacts to the SD1. All right, so overall, I think I liked Crunch 1 boosted better. I think that was a little bit more of a classic EQ stack from amps that I am more used to. Crunch 1 is definitely winning for me at this point. I think they both sound cool, but if you're more of a modern gain or modern voicing type of person, that Crunch 2 is gonna be the amp for you or the channel for you. All right, guys, Schecter PT Hellraiser Hybrid here, EMG 57 in the bridge. Definitely a more modern voicing that works well with the 7-string. Again, would like a little bit more top end sizzle without adding in the harshness, but I don't hate it with the 7-string. Last but not least, let's get to that lead channel because that's where a lot of people I think are gonna live on this amplifier. All right guys, so I've switched back to the Balaguer Typhon. The only thing I've done is clicked the lead switch. I left all the other settings the same and we've got the lead gain just under noon here. Definitely don't need to boost the input on this channel because it is already very saturated, very gainy. Let's push that lead gain up. I don't know what the pre-shape button does. I didn't notice much of a difference when I clicked it on, but let's try it. Having it on seems to round off some of the upper mids a little bit. I don't know, I might be wrong, but that's kind of what my ear's hearing. Let's turn on that bright switch. Seems to be adding a little bit of high end in the area that I personally like it, so, or the bright switch is working for me on this one. Let's turn that contour off. All right, that really kind of scooped things out a bit. Let's turn that middle up. I don't hate that, but again, in a mix, it's not gonna cut well. Let's see if the treble is placed in a different area or a different spectrum on the lead channel. All right, this may be the best tone that I've had dialed in so far. I'm digging this. Let's, again, go back to the lick blarm just because I love this boost. One quick complaint about the amplifier, I wish that it had an actual depth punch knob like some of the other more modern Engls do. The Fireball is what the word that I was thinking of, so I kept trying to say it without saying it. I wish it had a controllable depth knob, a sweepable pot, as opposed to just a switch. I'm not sure why they did that on this amp. I feel like all the options, all the bells and whistles, that's really kind of like a glaring omission, and replacing the pot that you can fine tune with a switch, not the greatest idea in my personal opinion, but that's just me. I always like having more control over something like that. But let's go ahead and move over to the active guitar. So this channel definitely handles the actives. It handles the drop C stuff with ease. Again, wish we had some more control over that low end. It is a little bit lacking in the low end punch. If you tune way down, like this amp is gonna give you all the tightness and clarity you could ever need. It's definitely keeping up the string clarity and everything. 7-string time. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me today on the Engl Savage 120 Mark II. Way too much to go over on this particular amplifier for me to really cover it in depth in this video, but let me know what you guys think about the tones that I was able to get out of the amplifier down in the comments of this video. Always curious to see what you guys have to say. If you have any experience, if you have any tips or tricks on how to set this up for other viewers, make sure to let them know down in the comments of this video on Falling Apart. And of course, if you want to pick it up, down in the description, hit that Sweetwater affiliate link, get that thing new. I get a little kickback and it costs you nothing extra. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to Engl for the support on Engl Month. And if you guys don't want to miss any more of that awesome Engl content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime that I post a new Engl video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.